Hello and welcome to this quick video on brainstorming. This is a continuation of our mini series on group creativity techniques. Again, where does group creativity techniques fit in and how is brainstorming a part of it? All of that context will be clear in the next slide. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a mini series on group creativity techniques. All the other videos, all the other techniques that we have covered as part of the topic group creativity techniques will be available in the description below. The entire playlist will be available there. Let's get started. Let's try to understand where does brainstorming fit in the PMP courseware. So the knowledge area that we are talking about here is scope management. And again, this slide will be a repetition for you if you have seen any of the previous videos of group creativity techniques. So feel free to skip this slide. So the knowledge area that we are talking about here is scope management. Within scope management, there are several processes. This process is called collect requirements. So collect requirements is the process which we are dealing with. Now, within collect requirements, one of the tools and techniques of collect requirements process is group creativity techniques. And within group creativity techniques is where brainstorming falls in. So, like I mentioned earlier, we have discussed all other group creativity techniques. The playlist will be available in the description below. And there are other group creativity techniques as well, like interviews, focus groups, facilitated workshops, group decision making techniques, and all of these uh, uh, tools and techniques of collect requirement process. These videos will also be available in the description below, where we discuss everything that there is in the collect requirements process. So that playlist will also be available in the description. We have discussed we have basically covered a lot of ground on scope management knowledge area as well. So I'll link to that playlist in the description as well, where you can learn more about scope management knowledge area and all of the processes that are part of scope management knowledge area. So let's get started. Let's try to understand what brainstorming is. Now, brainstorming is basically what you can imagine and what you already know about. So brainstorming, it is a group creativity technique. It is by which the group tries to find a conclusion for a specific problem by gathering a list of ideas spontaneously contributed by its members. The key here is spontaneously. So we are basically trying to, when we say let's brainstorm something, we are basically trying to gather the entire group, get in a room, and come up with ideas spontaneously, right? So that's the whole point, right? To be in the same room at the same time or on the same call or whatever, to be in the same environment and think of ideas and come up with ideas which are spontaneous in nature, not think through. That is where brainstorming comes into the picture. Now, this again might remind you of war rooms. War rooms are where people are basically staged at the same location and they try to resolve a problem. So, brainstorming is quite similar to war room in the sense that, much like war room, the group meets to generate new ideas and solution around a specific domain of interest by removing any inhibitions, right? Any disturbances or any ideas which might not be as useful if they come up with those ideas in a singular fashion, right? When they are kind of thinking about it alone, right? So brainstorming basically helps to build on ideas of each other so that the best ideas can come out from the group. Of course, this is extremely important when it comes to collecting requirements, because as a group, the group will come up with, as a group, the kind of requirements that will come out of brainstorming session are going to be much more elaborate and would, kind of um, recommend and come up with the best possible details of the product which is required as part of this project, as a result of this project. Now, why brainstorming? So we've touched on it a bit, but let's try to see what other points we have on why you should use brainstorming. So with the use of this technique, people are able to think more freely, and they suggest many spontaneous new ideas. Like I said, the key here is spontaneous. People have to be spontaneous and they have to come up with ideas, building on top of ideas from the peer members of the group, right? And this helps in having them think more freely. All the ideas are noted down and are not criticized, and that's the key here. A key of brainstorming is to make sure that the ideas of other group members are not criticized. Whatever a group member suggests needs to be taken down, needs to be noted down, needs to be jotted down. No criticism for any idea is allowed at this point. Once the brainstorming session is done, right? Once everybody agrees that there could be no more ideas now, that is when all the ideas which were listed will be evaluated, right? So no criticism is done when somebody comes up with an idea for the first time. It is simply taken down, and it is also possible that others build on those kind of ideas even if the original idea wasn't as good, right? So that is why criticism is not allowed, to kind of allow this kind of growth on top of ideas from different members of the group, right? So only after the brainstorming session is complete, that is when all the ideas are evaluated. This term, the brainstorming, this term was popularized by Alex Packney Osborne in the 1953 book Applied Imagination. Of course, this last sentence has nothing to do with the PMP exam, but definitely a good to know information on how brainstorming, the word brainstorming, came to be. So that's pretty much it that we had in this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you kind of learned what brainstorming is if you didn't already know. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and check us out on our social media, facebook.com/PMP Lounge and twitter.com/PMP Lounge. As always, do check out the website pmplounge.com, your number one free resource for PMP certification and project management industry information. Thank you.